Andarki Namaskaram. A very good morning to all of you. Firstly, I'd like to thank Raju Reddy and the team of Kakatiya Sandbox for inviting us over to Nizamabad. It's always a pleasure, always, a memorable experience meeting with Raju, Desh, and the entire team, that inspired this wonderful facility being created here in Nizamabad, the Kakatiya Sandbox. Also wanted to ensure, to all the distinguished delegates and others who have come from various parts of the world and also various parts of India. Welcome to Telangana, welcome to Nizamabad. Our Honorable Minister for Roads and Buildings, Shri Prashant Reddy, the District President of Nizamabad, Shri Jeevan Reddy, Honorable Chairman for RTC and MLA Nizamabad Rural, Shri Bajireddy Govardhan Garu, Honorable MLA Nizamabad Urban, Shri Ganesh Gupta Garu, Honorable MLA Bodhan, Shri Shakil Garu, Honorable Member of Raj Sabha, former Speaker, Shri KR Suresh Reddy Garu, Honorable MLC D. Rajeshwar Rao Garu, Honorable MLC Gangadhar Gaud Garu, Honorable ZP Chairman Vittal Rao Garu, Honorable MLA from Kodad, Shri Mallaya Yadav Garu, Honorable former MLC Shri Narsi Reddy Garu, Honorable DCCB Chairman Shri Bhaskar Reddy Garu, to all the distinguished members who are also present in the audience, to the district administrators, officials, to my friends from media, a warm welcome to all of you. I love the theme of this event, development dialogue. I think a country like India, which has the largest population on the planet now, we just surpassed China. For those of you who are not aware, we just, I think, surpassed China last week or 10 days ago. We have the largest population on the planet now. We're the country with the largest population on the planet. Most importantly, this population, if you look at it, 50% of India is less than the age of 27. 65% of India is less than the age of 35. And in a knowledge economy, I think this is the biggest a nation can bring to the table. The kind of young think force, not young workforce, but the kind of young think force India possesses today is the biggest strength, in fact, it can leverage is to come. The reason why I said I love the theme of this conference being development dialogue is because I'll narrate a quick story to you. Back in 1987, both India and China, similar sized countries in terms of population, also had a similar sized economy. We had almost the same GDP back in 1987. But if you actually move forward to 36 years later, today, China is the second largest economy in the world with $16 trillion of GDP size, whereas India is still languishing at $3 trillion with the dreams of a $5 trillion economy. What went wrong? Or what did China do right that India did not get right? In my humble opinion, I think China focused on ensuring that development becomes the principal conversation across the country, across the nation. Unfortunately, in India, I think very often politics takes center stage and economics, unfortunately, takes a back seat. Now, the reason why I said I love the theme of the conference here is because the conversation which always centers around development, especially for a third world country like India, for an emerging economy like India, will only ensure that the policy makers, the lawmakers, the legislators, the elected representatives, their focus should remain on the right things. For instance, in Telangana, under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri KTR Garu, we have focused on getting our basics right. Back in 2014, right about the time when Kakatiya Sandbox was formed, the state of Telangana also came into being on the 2nd of June 2014. When we started this journey in the new state, there were a lot of apprehensions, there were lots of doubts. In fact, we started our journey as a power deficit. State of Telangana, in fact, when Manish was, Funny was talking, also when Raju was talking, they all mentioned farmers and the rural livelihoods, etc. In Telangana, for those of you who are not familiar with this state, we had, to the formation of the state, we had 25 lakh plus, 2.5 million plus tube wells that have been sunk in by the farming community here. Billions and billions of dollars over a period of last few decades. They have sunk in many, many bore wells into the arid, dry region of Telangana. While there is enough water in our rivers, Godavari and Krishna, it has not been leveraged. While there are enough minor irrigation tanks, almost 46,000 lakes and tanks, they have not been leveraged. Irrigation was primarily rain-fed and it was dependent on tube wells and bore wells. Now this is something that was the challenge when we started our journey as a new state. Because we started our journey as a power deficit state. When our Honorable Chief Minister assumed office on the 2nd of June 2014, he made it his primary task and primary challenge to address this power deficit situation. In a matter of 6 months, just 6 months, from the day he assumed office, he made sure that the power deficit situation has changed, and today I can proudly say that Telangana is a power surplus state which can actually supply electricity 24/7 to the farming community free of cost in India. And we are the only state in India which provides free power 24/7 to the farmers. We also produce and supply quality power to both domestic and also industry sector in our state. The reason why I'm mentioning this today is because in the last 8.5 years, numbers will tell you a story. The development dialogue that we're talking about today is already a work in progress in Telangana. When we started our journey, the per capita income of Telangana was 1,24,000 rupees. 124,000 rupees. As of March last year, March 2022, the per capita of Telangana has increased to 278,000 rupees, 2,78,000 rupees. Almost 130% increase. The gross state domestic product, the GSDP of Telangana was about 500,000, 5 lakh crores on 2014 June 2nd. But as of last year, the GSDP of Telangana also has increased to 11.55 lakh crore, which is almost 1.15 million, 1.15 millions. The kind of increase in wealth, the kind of increase in per capita income that has happened in Telangana, just to give you one little statistic that will put things in perspective. Telangana is only 2.5% of India in terms of population. We are only 40 million people. But our contribution to India's economy, India's GDP is 5%. We are 2.5% in terms of population, but our contribution is 5%, which means we are literally punching double our weight. We are a 50-kilo boxer fighting in 100-kilo categories, how I would like it to. And I would also like to add one more thing. Raju called Nizamabad a microcosm of India. And by extension, you called this room a microcosm of the world. I would only say one thing. Telangana is that state where the north of India meets the south of India. Telangana is that state where paratha meets dosa. Telangana is that state where biology meets technology. Telangana is that state where life sciences meets data sciences. Telangana is that state where Mangoverse meets Metaverse. And Telangana also is that state which is focused extensively on holistic integrated development. What do I mean by that? Our IT exports back in 2014 were 57,000 crores. As of last year, they have risen to 1,83,000 crores. Our agriculture activity has expanded by almost 6% in terms of our GSDP valuation. It has increased by 119% overall. For those of you who have a phone in your hand, let me indulge you for a second. Please pull out your phone for a second. Please pull out your phone. And please Google it for me. World's largest lift irrigation project. Let me repeat. World's largest lift irrigation project. Can somebody tell me the answer? Those who are trigger happy and quick fingers. I would like to hear from the backbenchers here. What is it? Kaleshwaram lift irrigation project. The reason why I mentioned it very often we talk about Chinese execution. Very often we talk about how three dam was built by the Chinese in a record span of time. Let me tell you, youngest state in India, under the leadership of our dynamic Chief Minister, Shri KTR Garu, has built the world's largest lift irrigation project in a span of 4 years. Indian engineers, the engineers of Telangana, have made us proud. We have built this project which irrigates 45 lakh acres of land, which has also rejuvenated the Sri Ram Sagar project right here in the Nizamabad, in the neck of the woods in Nizamabad. And most importantly, it also caters to industrial consumption, and it also supplies drinking water to the metro city of Hyderabad, which contributes significant portion of our GSDP. I'm not sure how many of you know this. Not only is Telangana home to the world's largest lift irrigation project, India recently completed 75 years of independence. We are the first state in India to have completed a mammoth, a Herculean task of providing a portable drinking water connection to each and every one of our 1 crore households under a project called as Mission Bhagirath. We are the first state to have completed it. And when we were laying the water pipeline, which almost ran for more than 100,000 kilometers, 1 lakh kilometers plus of water pipeline, along with it 19,000 reservoirs, and along with it number of pump houses and everything else that goes with it. Let me also tell you, we have leveraged, there is a very popular word in India called as Jugaad. Jugaad basically means hustle. Jugaad basically means hustle. What we did in Telangana is something ingenious. When we had to dig and trench the entire landscape and lay almost 100,000 plus kilometers of pipeline, we decided that we'll also combine the fiber optic cable in the same trench that we were digging for the water pipeline. Thereby, Telangana will also become one among the first states in India to be providing 100 Mbps broadband connection to each and every one of our 10 millions. This is unique because the pandemic has shown us what can be done by way of e-commerce, by way of e-health, by way of digital education, and by way of digital empowerment at large. So my humble request to those of you who are not familiar with the brilliant story of Telangana, that is the reason why I call my state the most successful startup of independent India in the last 75 years. I can narrate many more other fantastic achievements of the state, but I'll leave it at that because I know we're short on time and we already showed up late. So let me thank Raju and the entire team of Kakatiya Sandbox for this wonderful opportunity. I wish the youngsters, the farmers, the entire ecosystem of Nizamabad the very best. I'm coming back next month, Raju Anna. I'm coming back to inaugurate the IT hub here. I'll humbly request you and Desh to bring in more and more, because the pandemic has shown us it doesn't matter where you work from in the world. You could be in a village, you could be in a small town, you could be in a metro like Hyderabad or Bangalore. I think now in a digitally connected world, in a world where youngsters from tier 2 towns actually have more fire in their belly, we need to ensure that the rural innovators, the social innovation, the tier 2 town innovators from Nizamabad, Khammam, Nalgonda, Mehboob Nagar are all given ample opportunity and equal opportunity to ensure we create a level playing field. So I thank you for this opportunity. I thank all of you, in fact, for giving me this opportunity. And I once again welcome Desh and Raju back onto the dais. Coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Request you to have a seat because we're going to have a fireside chat as well. Now, there are very few people in the country who can spontaneously captivate an audience. And then we have one household which has 2 of them. So all of us know who I'm talking about. Please put your hands together. Now, again, another redundant job of introducing Mr. Desh Pandey. With that kind of a name, you just can't get things wrong. He's the president and chairman of Sparta Group LLC, a family investment office, and also the chairman of Tejas Networks. Desh is the co-founder of Desh Pandey Foundation, a global philanthropic organization nurturing innovation and entrepreneurship in universities and cities across USA, Canada, and India. And now he's going to indulge all of us in a fireside chat with KTR Garu, asking all the questions that we have in mind on our behalf. 20 minutes, all yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Welcome,
Thank you, Desh.
Honorable Minister, whom we fondly call you KTR.
Yes, thank you.
So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I want to congratulate you on how much you have accomplished at a young age. Just looking at your Wikipedia, and I realized that I graduated and left India in 1973 when you were not born yet. So congratulations on getting
Cheers.
so much done at a young age. Like you talked about, Telangana has achieved a lot in the last 8 years. Double the GDP, clean water, all these things. What were the core aspects of being able to achieve those fantastic results? And what do you think Telangana as a state needs to do to keep that trajectory going for the next 8?
Thank you, Desh. Great question. Firstly, like the MC said, with a name like Desh, I think you can only inspire confidence. What you've done in Hubli has today translated into something very meaningful here in Nizamabad. Firstly, I think Desh and his entire team of Hubli Sandbox really deserve a big round of applause. Please put your hands together. Thank you. And I'm sure Jayashree's role is more paramount in this, so thank you, Jayashree. I think for contributing in a big way to Desh and his brilliant story. Just to, kind of add to what I was saying before, Telangana has done some things which are truly meaningful and truly relevant to an emerging and a developing country like India. The reason why I said the dialogue needs to be centered around development and nothing else is because, as a country, I think we've lost the plot somewhere. We are not focused on ensuring that our children, our citizens get the basics right. We need electricity, we need drinking water, we need water to the fields of our farmers. We need to ensure basic support mechanisms are in place to make agriculture more remunerative, to ensure that the farmers' kith and kin and their children also look at farming as a productive sector and not otherwise. We have focused on these basics. What can be done? What further can be done? I think if you look around, the world and also India at large. I was at the World Economic Forum last week. One of the prominent themes that kept popping up over and over is, with the whole geopolitical situation and how, the world now realized that they're excessively dependent on China. The world has started taking stock of the situation and wants to move away, cautiously but slowly, away from China. There's the whole China plus one talk. There's the whole China for China and, rest being done elsewhere kind of a discussion. This is India's opportunity, this is an opportunity for India to seize the movement, to capitalize on it, to build more manufacturing, to ensure that we, also as we move into the services and knowledge economy, to latch on to that unique opportunity where India can position itself as a hybrid between China and the US. The reason why I call it a hybrid between China and the US is because China has done brilliantly to position itself as a factory of the world. They produce everything, literally. They produce active pharmaceutical ingredients. They produce world-class electronics. They produce plastic molds and little things that we see all around us. They also produce some of the most high-tech equipment that there is in the world that is used in aerospace, defense, space tech, etc., etc. Whereas the US, slowly but steadily, has moved away from being a manufacturing to a services, now more to a knowledge economy. And like I was pointing out, I think over the next 1 decade, India can truly position itself with progressive states like Telangana leading from the front. India can truly position itself as that unique combination which can both cater to the manufacturing needs of the world, also at the same time ensuring that this young think force that we have, that amazing demographic dividend that can pay off big time if we ensure that more and more sandboxes can come up in various parts of India. If we can focus and ensure that the youth of India doesn't unnecessarily get distracted from the development agenda and continues to stay on course, then magic can happen over the next 1 decade. The last thing I'll mention on this count, Desh, India does not have the luxury of leapfrogging anymore. We cannot allow leapfrogging to happen. We have to literally pole vault. Because what US was able to achieve in the last, say, 1 century or so, what China was able to achieve and accomplish in the last 2 decades or so, India has to do that in 1 decade. And that is the window of opportunity that India cannot miss out. And more such unique opportunities where ecosystem and multilateral, cooperation opportunities between the government, the private sector, the academia. If this kind of conversations can happen more often with tangible outcomes, with tangible metrics, then surely India will actually get onto that proper direction and proper dialogue.
No, totally agree with you. Also, I'm a big believer of democracy. It's very messy process, but it has an ability to include everybody and do the inclusive growth. In fact, I remember in 1980s and 90s, somehow there was a feeling that Japan had won and US was going to lose. And it's amazing what they did over the next 20 years. They just reinvented themselves. And similarly, they will. And the geopolitics offers a fantastic opportunity for India. And also, it's very heartening to see, for example, India really stand up and start making iPhone 15s, which is one of the most complex technologies. So the fact that they can master these things, I totally agree with you. How important do you think is the inclusive growth to be able to achieve the dream?
Democracy is good. I completely agree with you. But demagoguery is not. Democracy is possibly our greatest asset, besides the think force that I just talked about. But demagoguery and, insulting our institutions, insulting our own people, dividing people in the name of religion, etc., can never make India, can never propel India into the first world orbit. What can aid, the inclusive growth opportunity that you just discussed, that you just mentioned? I firmly believe 3 I. Honorable Prime Minister had called all the political party representatives a couple of years back for a dialogue. I told him one thing on behalf of my party, the Bharat Rashtra Samiti. I told him, sir, the 3 I mantra needs to be followed. First I is innovation, second I is infrastructure, and third I is inclusive growth. Unless you mix these 3 I's and come out with a very unique model, because if you think about it, young Indians today, with the kind of access they have, we are all drowning in information, but like they say, we are all, grasping for knowledge and grasping and clutching for wisdom, I guess. Young Indians today have the access to the information, have amazing ability to also solve the world's problems. And they have stars in their eyes. They have the ability to really come out and, aim big at the globe and, solving global issues. Provided we give them platforms to provided we give them wings to their dreams. So in Telangana, we founded what is called as T-Hub, which is the world's largest technology incubator now. Not only did we find the T-Hub, not only did we set up the T-Hub, today Telangana is uniquely positioned with women entrepreneurship hubs called as the V-Hub. We also have created TSIC, the Telangana State Innovation Cell. In fact, Funny is here. He was our Chief Innovation Officer of the state of Telangana for a very long period. I'm thankful to him for that. And also, we have created a number of institutions, including a very important institution called as TASK, the Telangana Academy for Skills and Knowledge. Unless you have your youngsters gearing up for the opportunities the world is going to present to you, unless you are able to latch on to them, unless you're able to actually, leverage that opportunity, you'll not be able to do much. So innovation and the kind of platform government can create as an enabler is extremely important. Infrastructure is equally important. The fact that today you can travel from Hyderabad to Nizamabad in about 3 hours, and probably in days to come with high-speed rail connectivity in half an hour's time, is what is going to be a game changer. Then it doesn't matter where you live and where you work. You could be living in Bangalore and working in Hubli. You could be living in Nizamabad and working in Hyderabad. So the kind of infrastructure that India needs as a country is something that governments and private sector both have to focus on. Not only national highways, rapid rail connectivity, also ensuring digital infrastructure is in place so that it becomes a level playing field irrespective of which town and which village you reside in. The third and most important thing, if you ask me, India is a country which is full of diversity. Everything in India changes every 150 kilometers. The language, the dialect, the eating habits, the way you think, the cultures, etc., etc. India has 22 official languages, 300 unofficial languages. The language you speak at home versus the language I speak at home, while we are both brown skinned, are as different from each other as are possibly German and French. So this diversity of India needs to be respected. We all, as governments and as private entities as well, we all need to ensure that innovators, irrespective of what background they come from a rural area, it could be a woman or a man, it could be a youngster or an old guy, irrespective of who you are, what religion you belong to, or what social class you belong to, you need to be given opportunities that are equal and inclusive. With this 3I mantra, I sincerely believe India can propel itself into the first world.
So, in the crowd here, we have a lot of well-meaning citizens, very excited young people from rural India. What can they do in their individual capacity to contribute to the growth and get India to achieve its deserved position globally?
I think all of us Indians, have been taught from a very early stage. When I was growing up as a young man in 80s and 90s, I used to see around me that, while we have this amazing problem-solving ability, we are always taught from a very early stage not to take much risk. We are told that you can be a job seeker, not a job creator. Entrepreneurship is something that has not been, promoted as a culture among Indian society. From a very early stage, Indian parents tell you, become a doctor or an engineer, get a job, settle in life, get married, have children, buy a house, buy a car, etc., etc. Not a single Indian parent would actually tell you, go out into the world, chase your dreams, follow your dreams, and be ambitious and actually take a risk. Unfortunately, debt in India is looked down upon, frowned upon. So this fundamental shift in attitudes, that we ought to be risk-taking, we ought to think big, we ought to think global, and if we are solving a problem, remember that you're solving 1/5 of humanity's problem. So therefore, I think our ambition, our vision needs to expand a bit, our risk-taking appetite needs to expand a bit more, and culturally and sociologically, Indians need to start thinking big and start experimenting. Remember, after all, it's one life with a very limited lifespan, with a very limited capacity. So therefore, we need to risk a bit more is what I would say. And youngsters here especially, I think in my time, in Desh's time when we were growing up, I think there wasn't much appetite of capital. And today's India, and today's world, capital is not a challenge anymore. You can raise capital if you have the right kind of idea. If you have the right kind of product, the markets are there to lap it up. So therefore, I think taking a bit more risk, thinking big, thinking global, not just thinking India, I think that's the way forward from an Indian youngster's perspective, if you ask me.
Well, I also want to thank you for personally finding ways to do it. I was in Basra yesterday and met these 10,000 students who are the cream of the crop. And this new initiative that Raju and Venkatraman have to really inject this entrepreneurial spirit in them is something that we really need to keep pushing, I think. Because when you ask them what would you want as the future, they all say government jobs. And so I think we have to make them a lot more ambitious, a lot more entrepreneurial to move the country forward. Now, we talked about how democracy is a good thing, but it has its own limitations. In fact, it's worse in US than in India, because in US, congressmen have to get elected every 2 years. So as soon as they get elected, the election starts again.
The re-election starts.
So what are the secrets to make sure that in democracy, the bureaucracy and the political engine can be productive?
Well, I wish there was a short answer. Um, the one thing I would say is, if a leader, if the head of the state, in the case of Telangana, our Honorable Chief Minister, he's a man of great vision. He's a man who's also rooted in reality and grassroots. If the leader has the political will, I think then bureaucracy and every other system that is supposed to work with the government will fall in place. And a great example, like I said, is the execution of one of the largest projects in the world, the largest lift irrigation project in the world, being completed in 4 years in a democracy like India, with all the challenges that we have, is a classic example of how things can be done. But having said that, I think besides the political resolve, the political will, what matters also, sincerely, I'm saying this with utmost sincerity, I think politicians should stop worrying about winning their next election all the time. If we decide that it's okay to lose an election, if we decide that it's okay to actually sit out, maybe next 5 years, then we can get a lot of stuff done, honestly. Otherwise, you're always sucking up, you're always trying to win the next election, you're always trying to do what is more popular than what is right. So therefore, I think that fine balance that is missing is something that India needs to find. Unfortunately, it's easier said than done, but I think there will come a time when development will take center stage and not halals and hijabs and other nonsense. And then I think India will actually move forward in the right direction with the right kind of intent and with the right kind of goals.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Well, we have 5 more minutes with KTR. So if any of you have your questions that you want to ask him, please come forward and maybe we can ask them 1 or 2 questions. So please stand up and come here in the front so that we can bring a mic to you because we don't really have a lot of time. So KTR, one of the things that US seems to be doing pretty good is engaging the private citizens into the bureaucracy more as experts, right? Because our bureaucracy comes from an administrative capability and not really a vertical capability. I know you're trying that with people like Funny and so on. How can we make more of that happen?
Great question, Desh. In fact, in Telangana, not only we have Funny, but in fact, my entire Department of Industry and Commerce and IT, Information Technology, has almost 15 different very bright young people from the industry who are working in various very senior positions. In fact, one of the gentlemen is working with us for the last 8 years, who is heading now our director as Director of Electronics and Semiconductors, is currently in the US. So what we've done in Telangana consciously is we've co-opted for the best of the talent that there is in the private sector. We have invited them to be a part of the government and use this lateral entry as an opportunity to ensure that we get the best expertise. And I think you rightly pointed out, bureaucracy in India is more of an administrative capability. And bureaucrats in India are using to sit in their ivory towers and with all the entrepreneurs coming to them and literally pleading with them, ki sir ye kar do. Unfortunately, unless we change that mindset a bit by pushing them more aggressively, by ensuring that they also get exposure to the private sector. In fact, if you ask me, I would send most of my bureaucrats into the private sector for a couple of years so that they understand what the other side of the table looks like. So therefore, I think a mix of both. Sending our bureaucrats and bureaucracy into the private sector for a bit and also getting the private sector into government sector to co-opt them, I think is the right model. Way forward, I would imagine more and more positive outcomes with measurable goals, like how you do your performance appraisal. Yeah. Now that sort of a system also needs to be brought into government, and I think a combination of all this would really help. Yeah?
Oh, that would be fantastic. So, any questions? Yeah.
Yes. This is a fast-growing state. I was born in Hyderabad. My name is Sandhya Prakash. My question to you is, what is the program or the plan to have women leaders in the state of Telangana or all over the country as well? What would you see is the vision where more and more women can be there, represented, elected representatives as well, and also at the MLA level and other areas? So is there
Soumya,
a proper plan?
You said Soumya, right?
Sandhya Prakash.
Sandhya. Thank you, Sandhya. Great question. See, honestly, we have not done enough justice. I'll not give you a fake answer. We have not done enough so far. There's still a lot of room. But I'll only urge one thing of women leaders and women representatives. See, today in Telangana, we have 50% of women representatives in both Gram Panchayatis, municipalities, and Zilla Parishads. We have 32 Zilla Parishads, 142 municipalities and urban local bodies, 12,769 Gram Panchayatis. We have 50% women leaders there. But in the legislature and the parliament, in legislature we have 119, MLA seats, 120 rather, out of which we only have 6 women legislators. And in parliament again, out of 543, I'm not sure how many women parliamentarians are there. The only way we can change this is, of course, continuing to push and maybe bringing in legislation. The 33% reservation bill that was talked about, because affirmative action, no matter wherever in the world, be it in the US or be it in a developing country like India, the one way things can happen is by way of legislation. My party, led by our Honorable CM, has always wanted the 33% reservation bill to be tabled. So hopefully, the day is not far, hopefully, like I said, because unfortunately, we don't run a government of India now. So whatever was within our purview, we brought 50% reservation there. But I hope and pray that government of India also will wake up and bring in this legislation. In the meantime, I promise you that next election, we'll start looking at more representation of women. But these women leaders also will have to come from within the ranks. You cannot be staying away from politics for 4.5 years and coming to us in the last 6 months and saying, listen, I need a seat because I have done some good work elsewhere, not in your political party maybe, but elsewhere. So I think a lot of pressure also has to come from within the ranks, and that sort of pushing the envelope has to come from within and not from outside. That's what I would think.
Thank you, KTR.
Thank you, Sandhya.
Hi, my name is Shravya and I live here right in Nizamabad. I have a question for you. A lot of entrepreneurs tend to move out of Hyderabad to Bangalore because the ecosystem is stronger and it's beginning to change. But how do we pole vault as a state to retain all our entrepreneurs here in Telangana? And what do you see we should do?
You mean you don't want to move from Nizamabad and you want to resist the temptation of moving to Hyderabad or Bangalore, is it?
Yeah, I want to know what is it that the state can do to retain talent in Telangana, be it Hyderabad, Nizamabad, wherever, and stop them from going away to Bangalore.
You know what? I think it's a bit regressive to do anything coercive to stop people from migrating. No country has succeeded doing that. China has tried very unsuccessfully to contain people from urbanizing because they realize that urbanization is a real problem, suburbanization is a real problem. But coercion does not work, Shravya. What we have to do as governments is create better livelihood opportunities, better education opportunities, better healthcare opportunities. These are the 3 fundamental things why people migrate. Better livelihood is why most of the students go to the US and UK and elsewhere, because they believe a United States degree, including myself, I have been to the US and I have gone to school there. Why do we migrate? Why do we actually go abroad? Because we believe that the degree that is conferred on by those universities actually holds a better value. So unless we compete with them and create better institutions, we cannot contain them. Likewise, why does somebody from a small village move to Nizamabad? Why does somebody from Nizamabad move to Hyderabad? And why does somebody from Hyderabad move to US? See, this is a process. This is a journey. What we have to realize is human beings by nature are in constant pursuit of excellence, are in constant pursuit of social empowerment and economic empowerment. You can't find fault with the human nature. But at the same time, those such as yourself or Manish who said, it's not just the pursuit of economic empowerment, but pursuit of purpose, pursuit of happiness can stay put wherever you want, provided as a government, I can give you better education opportunities, healthcare opportunities, and livelihood opportunity. So this is a continuous endeavor. And I don't think any government has cracked it across the world, not in India. So it's a continuous process, and I would sincerely think it's regressive to actually say, to put an embargo and say you can't move. That's not the right way to handle it, is what I personally believe. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shravya.
Sir, hi sir. I am Srinivas. I am MJNF fellow. So we are working in each of the districts, working on skilling ecosystem of the district. at the grassroots level, we prepare DSDPs and all. So I have compared the Telangana innovation ecosystem, which is like fast growing, with the existing ecosystem of Karnataka, and I found out that we are moving very aggressively in comparison. So similarly, when it comes to skilling ecosystem, it is an integral part of the innovation ecosystem. So how is Telangana state looking forward to enhance the skilling ecosystem for entry level jobs other than the task? Task is looking for IT and electronic sector, but there are many other sectors where industries require a lot of manufacturing workforce.
You said Srinivas, right?
Yeah.
Srinivas.
Yes.
Srinivas, great question. We have a very unique challenge, Desh, in our state. In fact, a lot of youngsters from Nizamabad, they migrate to the Gulf, to the Middle Eastern countries in search of livelihood. Whereas in Nizamabad fields, or if you go to Kamareddy fields, or even my district, which is very close, in Sirisila, you have workers coming from other states in India to work here. It's a very unique challenge we have, especially the vocational kind of courses, the plumbing, the electrician, the fitters, the carpenters, the gentlemen who are involved, the workers who are involved in construction industry. They come from every nook and corner in India. But whereas the Telangana youngsters are going to the Gulf. It's a very interesting problem, very interesting conundrum, if you ask me. The only way I see this changing, in fact, as I was walking out of the helipad, I saw a beautiful new building being built right next to the collectorate. So I asked my Honorable Minister, Prashant Reddy Garu, I said, what is this building? He said, it is the National Academy of Construction building, NAC building. And NAC building that is being built in Nizamabad will ensure that besides tasks like the one you just mentioned, all of these vocational courses are given due importance, are going to prepare a skilled workforce, which will help us possibly take opportunities in these spaces that I just mentioned. But that's just not enough. There is the polytechniques, there is the ITIs. Unfortunately, we've not focused enough on them, but we are getting to that stage where we'll probably start looking at more and more internships, apprenticeships, and practice school kind of an option, where we can have these children working, doing their diploma courses, work in the industry for about 6 months, gain practical exposure, so therefore become more readily employable by the time they graduate. A combination of all these, I think, will encourage our local youngsters get better employment opportunities. Yeah?
Thank you, sir. We are happily looking forward to engage in that kind of ecosystem.
Thank you.
So, of the 4 questions that we, just a second, sir. Of the 4 questions, as you said, little things in our control. Would like to get another lady to ask a question. Yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Hannah. I'm from Minerva University. I'm one of the exchange students here. I was wondering if people going through public education, higher public education, as compared to private education, do get the necessary skills to be the future entrepreneurs and skilled workers, whether they have skills that are on a competitive level with those who graduate private institutions.
Great question. I didn't get your name.
Hannah.
Anna?
Hannah.
Hannah, great question. I'm pretty sure, I'm going to go on a limb and take a guess, that both Raju and Desh went to a government school. Am I right, or did you go to a private school rather? You did. See, these 2 gentlemen who made it big in their life and who are now giving back to their cities, Nizamabad and Hubli, have both gone to a public school, not a private school. So, it doesn't really matter whether you go to a public school or a government school or a private school, as long as, you have the ability to imbibe, learn, and be ambitious in terms of your worldview and world outlook. Because I know of a number of leaders, including our chief minister, who has actually gone to a public school and has become what he has become as a first generation politician. So no matter what you want to achieve in life, be it a top-notch leader in public life, a politician, a bureaucrat, or an entrepreneur, I think what matters is how well you imbibe those skills and not otherwise, and where you imbibe them from. So I hope I answered your question partially at least. Cheers.
Hannah, also I'd like to add that the fact that you are coming to India and spending 3 months will make you a better entrepreneur. So why is it that people from Nizamabad do well in Dubai, people from Orissa do better in Nizamabad? Because out-of-box thinking is very natural for people when they come from a different place. So what we need to do is to inject all of that training into education systems so that people can think out of box, living exactly in the box. They don't have to go far away to learn all this, but having a conscious way of exposing people to different experiences is what makes them creative. And so, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think...
Thank you so much. Request Mr. Desh to stay on stage and also felicitate KTR Garu. Thank you so much, KTR Garu, for your time and patient hearing to all the questions and responding to all of them in your trademark style. Right. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Right. Okay. So, KTR Garu is now moving to the agri sector where he'll be interacting with all the farmers there. And we will continue with our interaction, the beautiful panel that's set up next.